Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about my personal opinions and take on the new Michael Jackson movie, obviously titled Michael. I don't think it's called anything else, I think it's just called Michael. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. In the back on this side to me, there is a Dangerous vinyl. You can't really see it, you can kind of see it. Um, so I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. I've been a huge Michael Jackson fan for years. And for me, I generally thought this movie, for the most part, was great. The acting was fantastic. I love whoever played really young Michael, like Jackson 5 Michael, did a fantastic job. If that is his singing voice, which I'm pretty sure it was, he is phenomenal. Just like acting alone, and when Joseph one of the first scenes was beating him with the belt after he said he was tired, how it was so crazy, how believable. Like sometimes you watch something and be like, I mean, you know, you could tell what they were going for, but they didn't quite hit it with like how. I mean, they don't make the pain sound like it's painful to them, but you could. He put that little kid put his all into that scene, and it truly sounded like he was generally getting whooped by Joseph. Another highlight for me was the actor for Joseph Jackson. He did a fantastic job, and when I mean fantastic, I mean fantastic. I generally felt the emotions that he was feeling, which is really rare for me. And I don't usually feel that. Obviously, I'm slowly getting into watching more and more TV shows and movies because I haven't been quite there recently. Since I was like maybe 10, and I'm now like 18, which is 8 years. I haven't been properly watching shows for. So I'm gonna make these videos to help me, give reviews to push me to watch, shows, read books, watch movies. From what I've seen recently and the performance that the actor for Joseph Jackson put on, he was fantastic. Also thinking that one of my favorite performances, as obviously the main role, was Joseph. No, what? No, that wasn't Joseph Jackson. Jafar Jackson, who put on an exceptional performance as Michael. Like, it was amazing, in my opinion. I think he had his personality down from, like, what he may have been like. So obviously, we will never know for 100%. His mannerisms. Oh, you can't really see it. So, his mannerisms, his, all over tone, his voice, his dancing, incredible. What he managed to do, pulling off, obviously, that role. Obviously, there's a lot of side by side clips, and honestly, he also looked the part as well. In some lighting, you're like, well, I mean, you can tell they're going for Michael, but it doesn't quite look like Michael. But in a lot of shots, especially that off the wall era and that Thriller era when he had the nose job, he looks just like Michael, which is crazy. Like, you had me tripping like mid cinema, like, hold up, is that Michael? Is that Michael? Which was really interesting because I didn't think he was gonna. I thought he was gonna look really similar, but I didn't think there was gonna be certain shots where I'm like, and angles where I'm like, Jesus, that looks like Michael. Like, properly looks like Michael. Because that was the one problem I had with the Freddie Mercury Queen biopic. It didn't exactly look like him, like to a whole extent. But so I just realized you can't really see my hand expressions when I'm going like this. One of the things I didn't like about the movie actually was the pacing. Now that sounds really weird, but at one point we were Jackson 5. We skipped over like transforming into the Jacksons and why that kind of happened. But I guess it wasn't a whole lot to say there, but there was something there, right? So we skip over that, which is fine. But it feels like we kind of went from um Jackson 5 to Thriller in a blink. Like, we seen a little bit of Off the Wall, but it wasn't a whole lot. But then we had Thriller to Bad, but it was from, like, you've seen the entire creative process of Thriller, well, most of it anyway, from the main bits. And then you blink, and then he's on stage at the very end of the movie on the Bad World Tour. Which again, I assume since I have to reshoot like the last act, that's probably kind of why there was probably some kind of stuff. But I'd love to see like we have footage of Michael Jackson recording in the studio for Bad, with what song was it? Of Michael recording "I Can't Stop Loving You" with Saida Garrett, maybe that name. I can't quite remember. But we have footage of that, and it'd be really fun and cool to see them redo that and put it in the movie, or like I wonder what the Stevie Wonder session was like. Like there's so many questions and so much stuff I'd like to see from in the second movie. I'd like them to backtrack a little to the start of the Bad Era and what happened with his vitiligo. We barely seen that. It was mentioned a couple times, but we barely seen the slow transformation. I want to see the vitiligo and how he truly battled with it. So we've seen a little bit of the makeup stuff, but not a whole lot. I want to see more with the plastic surgery. Like we know he did his nose job and stuff, but I'd like to see just a little bit more in depth on that. And I like they didn't cover it up like Michael tried to do for some reason. There's just a couple of things I'd like if they did touch on, and I hope they backtrack so we know like when the switch in the sound as well, because Off the Wall and Thriller to Bad is such a massive sound difference that I'd really like to know what happened in between for the big sound difference. I feel like that makes so much sense, and I just personally like to see that. Um, Obviously, I've seen a lot of people annoyed about the sexual assault allegations not being in the movie. One, the movie technically it ends before any allegations were made. Want to make that completely clear if you haven't even thought of googling or just doing a tiny bit of research on why it's not in the movie, because you look stupid if you're questioning why it wasn't in the movie. Well, because look at the timeline. Obviously, it was a big thing that it was shot, and that did happen in the movie. But due to some legal things, I'm not 100% like full knowledge on. I don't know everything that happened and why the reasons are. I need to have a look into it. But you know what I mean? Like they have so much time to sort it out for the next movie. You know? So I think that's fine. I hope they touch on so much stuff. I'm wondering where the errors, because I don't know if they can cram from the beginning of Bad to the end of his life in another like 2 hour movie. Because if you look at the pacing for the first movie, the pacing was extremely fast, and they crammed so much into 2 hours. It leaves you wondering, like, we what did we miss? We skipped over a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. Because like a lot from his childhood and all, we skipped over so much during these 2 hours. That because he just had the most hectic life, where I feel like his life would probably been better with it as a really high, like a very high production show. Like to say like the Mike Tyson had a show on Disney Plus, right? I haven't seen it, but he had a show on Disney Plus. Kind of like that, hour-long episodes, really high production, a lot of money spent putting it into it. So it has, I should say, like it has like um each say there's 5 seasons, right? And there is 6 episodes per season. Each episode is an hour long. You have the season 1 Jackson 5, season 2 Jackson's to Off the Wall kind of era, season 3 Thriller, season 4 Bad and Dangerous. Then you have season 5 going up from like just like after Dangerous and after wherever you left off after that last season, to has the roundup season from like hitting that 2001 and onwards to the end of his life. Um, with maybe add 1 or 2 episodes to the end of that, to at the end of the season. So maybe it's like 10 episodes for that final season. And just seeing like the struggles and all, getting ready for this is it tour and his passing, and then it just makes more sense to me because you can fit so much. Because then you can have that's so many hours, and it will sell so much more. Say, oh no, a Disney Plus show, a Netflix show, very high production though. It would have to be Michael Jackson movie level production. But like I think the movie did amazing. I think it did capture what we needed to capture, and it did do him justice. But I'm just saying, as an overall, I feel like we missed out on some stuff. That's all I'm saying. But going down to the costume designs and the casting, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think they did a fantastic job with that. Script writing I thought was really really good. We gotta look at some like more personal things. Not a whole lot. Another grab I had is I didn't learn anything from this movie. I was hoping to learn something from the movie, but the most I learned was young Michael, like, you know, like kind of seeing what that studio time was like, because I've never seen obviously young Michael in the studio before, and then him playing with like the sound decks. That was about it. You know what I mean? I thought the CGI monkey was awesome. Obviously, I love Bubbles the monkey, such a W monkey. That's gonna get taken out of that's gonna get taken out of context. Anyway, so that honestly that was great. I like how they use CGI, and it looked really good as well. I liked how he had like that scene where Michael's in a store buying some stuff, and fans came up to him like, "Oh my God, is that Michael Jackson?" And the older lady's like, "Can you sign this for my son?" And then he gets him to sign her name to it and that kind of thing. Then he had a crowd around him, and I like the scene where he's standing. I think I can't remember what it was. But he's on the car, and there was thousands of fans around him. And then the guy looks out the window. The guy who got the Billie Jean on MTV, and he's just smiling because that there was an indication that Michael was incredibly famous. And I feel like that was like the main kind of hit where you're like, okay, yeah, he is the most famous singer in the world. Um, I think yeah, that's basically it. If I was to give it from a 1 out of 10, I'd give it a solid 8. Now one thing you need to understand is I am an enjoyer, right? I'm not a super critic. I'm just your average nerd who likes some cool things and who's gonna give you really basic scores on not on how other people do it, like, oh, this factor, this factor, this factor. It's on how much I enjoy the experience. I watched it in cinema, I watched it with my family, I enjoyed the movie, I'm a massive Michael fan. It satisfied me enough. I think there's stuff they could do better, stuff they don't have to change. I think the makeup was amazing. I think for a reshoot, that ending was great. I don't see what the big problem is with the ending, because people are like, "Oh yeah, the movie was good, but the ending was horrible. The ending was the worst thing I've ever seen." I don't know why. I thought the ending was fine. It was, it was, it goes back to the beginning of the movie where he's walking out in the bad era, and it just kind of stops there. I think that's fine. I don't understand the massive complaint about the ending, because yeah, it was kind of like a cliffhanger, I guess. I thought it was fine. Yeah, I think it's about an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's perfect. I think it was just a great movie, a fun watch, and I do suggest it if you want to watch it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. See ya.